Hello, my name is Sten Martin, and today I would like to show you how to drape a reversed shawl collar. And this is not intended to be exact in any way, it's just intended to be as an inspiration for you and showing you how you could drape different shapes. And as usual, I'm standing here with a piece of fabric, and it's just a plain cotton weave fabric. I like to use it because it's crisp and it's easy to draw on, and I can easily see the different shapes I'm making. And here's my dress stand, and how much fabric will I use then? Well, today we would like to do something that continues around the neck up here. So I will measure from the top of the dress stand here and for the length of the jacket that I would like to have. And first I'm ripping off the selvage, the thicker edge out here. Like so, and then I measure from behind, from the center back and continuously around the neck, and then I continue down to the length of the jacket, and that will be approximately down here, but of course you choose the width you would like to have, the length of course. And the width of the fabric, because we're gonna make the facing continuously into the shawl collar, we have to start in here and continue out here and to the side seam. And if you would like a measurement, it will be approximately 75 centimeters times 75 centimeters. It's almost a square, and that would be about 30 inches times 2. Then I will start with the facing part, the part that stabilizes the whole collar. And I think it will start here at the bust point, and it will continue approximately a couple of centimeters over the center front line. And as you can see, I don't have any lines on the dress stand. It's because I like to make it more casually. I like to use my eyes and see what I would like to have instead of using continuous lines and so forth. So I start over here, and I make sure I have enough for center back. I'm going to turn the fabric around and pin it up here at the center front. This is a little bit difficult because I wanted to show you as clear as possible, so excuse me if I'm hiding the dress stand, but I try to do it as clear as possible. And then I pick my start point for the folding line. So the start point is where the front edge bends over into the crease line up here. So I pick it, I just put a pin up here so it's easier. I will say it will be approximately over here, and I have to put the pin deeply into the dress stand, and I check that I have a straight line over here, and then I also pin in the waistline over here, and this is supposed to be directly under this line. And of course it's again a little bit difficult for me to see if this is straight, but you probably get the idea. So I have the start of the folding line, and I have the front edge, and then I have the waist down here. And as you can see, it it puckers up a little bit here, and that's because it's too narrow for the hip. So I will slash it slightly over here. So I make some slashes up to the waistline. And then I can pin it straight down here. As you can see, you will get a little dart over here. So I just put a pin there too. And if you would like to secure that point, you can of course put a pin into the bust point over there. So now is the tricky part. It's because we have to slash it up here in the neck area. So what you do is that you smooth the fabric out here. I have to remove this pin. You smooth the fabric up here to try to find the neckline shoulder intersection, and of course the neck of the dress down would be in your way, so it's very tight up here, but you try as good or as well as you can to just smooth it up, and then we slash it up here. So you just slash it horizontally, no, actually not in the bias cut. You make a bias cut here just into the neckline shoulder intersection. So I just give it a cut, and then it will release some of the fabric, so I can smooth it a little bit better up here. Then I remove these pins I put up here so I can make my folding line. So this point will secure that I don't turn the fabric all the way over. So I just slightly pull it over, and as you can see, the start point over here keeps it in place. The pin up in the neckline point keeps it also in place, and then I just smooth it upwards here. The shoulder will keep it from moving all the way up, but I can make a little stand up here. You can see the fabric just moves slightly upwards and can continue to the neckline. But I also have to make a cut up here at the same shoulder intersection, and I'm actually going to cut a little bit further down here underneath. So I make a little further cut up here, and then I also make a cut in the top layer. And then I got a little neck strip up here, as you can see, and that one I can turn continuously over to the center back. And then it will lay ever so smoothly up here. Maybe I can turn the dress stand so you can see this little neck part. It points a little bit downwards, but then I can cut, remove some fabric, and then I can cut into the neckline here. So I can turn the neckline upwards to its center front. So you can see I get a line, a folding line from here. I have the base of the collar down here, and this neckline will continue down here to the folding point. And we want this reversed shawl collar to cover all of the body over here, so we do not remove anything over here, but we want a straight down line here. So I just take the fabric and pull it ever so gently until the waist pin create a crease down at the center front, and then I fold this top layer so it tops the other crease. So you can see you actually get a nice line down here, and I just pin it in place in the two, pin the two folds on top of each other. And then I can continue to pin down here, and of course the facing base underneath it stops in the waistline. So now we got the center, not the center front, the front edge, and it just continues up here to the neckline, and then the neckline continues up to center back, and sometimes you just have to adjust this a little bit under the way. The rest of the body over here we can just decide what we like to do. I think I will go for 2 bust darts and then the side seam over here. So I just take the top layer here and create without pulling too much, because I want it to continue as a jacket. And since the fabric is on the bias over here, it's quite easy to just pin it in place. And you have to excuse me again if it's not straight, but I have a little bit difficulty to see this from your viewpoint. So I just create a smooth waistline here. Up to the bust point and continue down to the hip area. And then I can just make it a little bit tighter. Like so. And then I make another bust dart over here. And be sure not to pull too much from the shoulder. You want the shoulder to stay here smooth. So I'll just pin a little bit down here. Continue down to the hip area. And you would probably like these 2 darts to be kind of parallel with each other, but of course it can be a little bit difficult. But you can practice. And it's time for us to cut into the arm side, because we want our arm to continue out here. So I just cut horizontally into where I think the arm will end. I just turn it a little bit. So you can see I just cut in here. And then it releases a lot of tension over here. You can see it like this. And I have to put a little bit back. And then I just cut with a lot of allowance my arm side. And I also cut a shoulder line up here. I can just adjust this a little bit. And then I continue downwards to the end of my arm side. So it's time for me to make my side seam. And I just continue the fabric out here. Put some pins. And usually it's easier to make the side seam if you just make a dart over here. Of course we will just use one side of the dart, and that's the side from the front, but it's easier to see the shape it will make. So I just continue up here. And I continue down to the hip area. And I repin this a little bit so it doesn't get so tight. So I have a side seam over here, and then I can just cut away some excess fabric over here. I continue with cutting out my full arm side. And I remove a little bit more from the shoulder line to get an even shoulder. Then I would like to make the length of the jacket also, and that of course can be different length. You just choose what you would like it to be. It could even be a dress, but I just want to cut off something over here to make it a little bit fresher and shorter. And then it would be it's easier for me to just pin away the rest of the excess fabric. If you think the waistline pulls a little bit, you can just slash it here in the waistline and it opens up. It's got a little bit short, it's more like a vest now, but there you go. So we got the front area covered, we have a facing underneath that keeps it all in place. It continues up here in a natural crease, continues all the way to the center back, and then we have a cut here and the shoulder line, and it smooths out to the side. Usually I get the question how it looks when it's finished or taken down from the dress then. So what I would like to do now is just to mark it, and I don't think you can see it, but you can see where I put my pen, and then I will take it down and maybe you can see how it looks, a little bit of the shape anyway. So I will mark this where the folding line starts, and I will mark up here along the folding line. It continues up here in the soft neck, and I continue all the way to the center back, and I mark my center back. Sorry, this will not be so exact, but then again it's just to give you some inspiration. I mark the neckline over here. I can even cut it so it looks a little bit more clear how it will end up. Like that. I continue to the cut I had in the neckline shoulder intersection, and from there I continue out in a shoulder line that I like. I continue down in the arm side, and here of course you can also make it as a drop shoulder or something, and the shoulder line you can continue backwards. I continue to the side seam, And here I just mark the front part of this dart, because I don't actually want a dart, I just want a side seam over here. And try to make it a little bit loose here, because it's always, if you want a sleeve to it, always feels a little bit tight. So put in some ease here. And then I mark my other darts. We'll continue down to the hemline. And I have the top of my dart. I have the top of my other dart. Mark both sides. Of the dart. And I mark the front edge too. And you also have to mark underneath the facings front line too. And I always think it's a good idea to mark the waistline, because when you take it out it's really difficult to see what's up and down on this jacket. So I just mark the waistline very clearly also over here. So that is your marks. Maybe you would like to have your center front line marked here too, so you can see where to put your buttons. And then we'll try to take it down from the breast stand. So I remove all the pins, if I can find them all. And I also remove them over here. And I have to remember I secured the whole drape underneath here. So now I just open it up and remove these pins. And here, if I am a little bit quick, I can also mark my boss dart in here. And of course this will be on the wrong side of the drape. And my waistline over here, also a good thing to have. And maybe a line down here where I want my facing to end in a more straight line. And my shoulder line too, up here. Removing the last pins. And then it will be looking like something like this. It's a little bit hard to see, but there you go. You have the arm side over here, waistline, 2 dots, side seam, the front, and all the front continuously out here with the facing, a little bit dart over here, and you have the neck strip out here. So I hope you enjoyed it. This was all from me, and try to do something similar, get inspired, or maybe do something easier. I'm so glad you watched and hope to see you soon. Bye.